In the heart of a bustling city stood a grand department store known for its luxury brands, elegant displays, and high-end products. The store attracted all kinds of shoppers, families looking for gifts, professionals hunting for workwear, and teenagers eager to explore the latest trends. On a bright Saturday afternoon, the store was alive with activity. Shoppers moved between aisles filled with designer handbags, shelves stacked with fragrances, and racks showcasing chic outfits. Among these shoppers was Maya, a 16-year-old black girl who had a passion for fashion. She loved experimenting with styles and often spent her weekends visiting stores like this one. Today, she wore a casual yet trendy outfit, a denim jacket over a printed t-shirt, paired with ripped jeans and white sneakers. Her curly hair was tied into a loose ponytail, and she carried a small backpack where she kept her wallet and phone. Though Maya came from a wealthy family, her father, Marcus Johnson, was a successful businessman and the CEO of a major retail chain. She preferred to keep that part of her life private. To everyone around her, she was just another teenager enjoying a day of shopping. Maya entered the store with excitement, her eyes scanning the various sections. She started at the accessories section, admiring the gleaming watches and sparkling jewelry. Then she moved to the clothing area, running her fingers over soft fabrics and vibrant patterns. Every now and then she would pause to examine an item more closely or take a mental note of something she liked. Despite being alone, Maya felt confident and comfortable as she navigated the crowded space. Unbeknownst to Maya, someone nearby had begun watching her every move. This person was Patricia, a middle-aged white woman dressed in expensive clothes and carrying a designer handbag. Patricia's sharp gaze followed Maya as she browsed through the store. At first, Patricia simply observed, but soon her curiosity turned into suspicion. In her mind, Maya didn't fit the image of someone who belonged in such an upscale environment. Instead of questioning her own biases, Patricia let them guide her thoughts and actions. Patricia's unease grew when Maya stopped near the handbag display. The young girl picked up a sleek black purse, examining its details and turning it over in her hands. To Maya, it was just another step in her shopping journey, but to Patricia, it seemed suspicious. "Why is she touching everything?" Patricia muttered under her breath, her lips tightening into a frown. She couldn't shake the feeling that Maya wasn't there to actually buy anything. Without realizing it, Patricia was letting her prejudices cloud her judgment, assuming things about Maya based solely on her appearance. As Maya continued browsing, Patricia decided to take matters into her own hands. She approached the young girl, her posture stiff and her expression stern. "Excuse me," Patricia said loudly, causing several nearby shoppers to glance in their direction. Maya looked up, startled by the sudden interruption. "Are you planning to buy something?" Patricia asked, her tone clipped and accusatory. Maya blinked, unsure how to respond. "I'm just looking around," she replied politely, her voice calm despite the unexpected confrontation. But Patricia wasn't satisfied. "This isn't your kind of place," she snapped, her words laced with condescension. Maya felt a pang of hurt but tried to brush it off. She put the handbag back on the shelf and stepped away, hoping to avoid further conflict. However, Patricia wasn't done. She trailed Maya as she moved to another section, making snide remarks along the way. "Some of these items cost more than what you probably spend in a month," Patricia sneered, her voice carrying enough to draw attention from other customers. The situation quickly became uncomfortable. Several shoppers turned to watch the exchange, some whispering among themselves. A few gave sympathetic looks to Maya, while others seemed unsure of what to do. One elderly man shook his head disapprovingly at Patricia's behavior, but he didn't intervene. Meanwhile, Maya did her best to ignore the woman's comments, focusing instead on maintaining her composure. Still, she couldn't deny the sting of Patricia's words, which were clearly meant to humiliate and intimidate her. Eventually, Patricia decided to escalate the situation. She flagged down a store employee, a young man in a crisp uniform, and demanded that he escort Maya out of the store. "She's been loitering here without any intention to purchase," Patricia insisted, pointing accusingly at Maya. The employee hesitated, glancing between Maya and Patricia. He could sense the tension in the air and knew that this moment required careful handling. By now, a small crowd had gathered, murmuring quietly as they watched the scene unfold. Despite the mounting pressure, Maya refused to back down. She stood tall, her chin lifted slightly, determined not to let Patricia's hostility break her spirit. Inside, however, she felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and frustration, all swirling together. She wondered why someone would treat her this way simply because of how she looked. It wasn't fair, but she knew that arguing wouldn't solve anything. So, she remained silent, waiting to see what would happen next. Little did anyone know, help was on the way. Outside the store, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. From it emerged Marcus Johnson, Maya's father. A tall, distinguished man with salt and pepper hair and a commanding presence, Marcus exuded authority and confidence. He had received a text from Maya earlier saying she'd be done shopping soon, so he had come to pick her up. As he entered the store, his sharp eyes immediately noticed the commotion near the handbag section. Spotting Maya in the center of it all, his brow furrowed with concern. Without hesitation, Marcus strode toward the group, his polished shoes clicking against the marble floor. When he reached Maya, he placed a protective hand on her shoulder, silently reassuring her that she wasn't alone. Then, turning to Patricia, he spoke in a calm yet firm tone. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his piercing gaze locking onto the older woman. Patricia faltered for a moment, caught off guard by Marcus's sudden appearance. But she quickly recovered, pointing at Maya and repeating her earlier accusation. "This girl doesn't belong here," she declared, her voice wavering slightly. Marcus listened patiently, his expression unreadable. When Patricia finished speaking, he introduced himself. "My name is Marcus Johnson," he said, pausing briefly to let the weight of his words sink in. "I own this chain of stores." Patricia's face drained of color as the realization hit her. She had unknowingly insulted the daughter of one of the most powerful men in the retail industry. For a moment she stood frozen, unable to form a coherent response. With quiet authority, Marcus explained that Maya was his daughter and that she had every right to be in the store, or anywhere else she chose. "It's disappointing to see someone judge another person based solely on their appearance," he added, his tone tinged with both disappointment and resolve. Patricia stammered, attempting to defend herself, but her excuses sounded hollow even to her own ears. Realizing she had no choice but to retreat, she mumbled a weak apology before hurrying out of the store, her cheeks burning with shame. Once Patricia was gone, Marcus knelt beside Maya, pulling her into a warm embrace. "You handled that beautifully," he told her, pride evident in his voice. "Never let anyone make you feel less than you are." Maya nodded, though tears glistened in her eyes. She was grateful for her father's support, but couldn't help feeling shaken by the experience. Together, they left the store, stepping out into the sunlight and leaving behind the whispers of curious onlookers. Though the incident was over, its effects lingered. Word of what happened spread quickly, thanks to social media posts from witnesses who had recorded parts of the confrontation. Videos of Marcus standing up to Patricia went viral, sparking widespread discussions about racism, privilege, and the importance of treating others with respect. Many praised Marcus for using his platform to advocate for fairness and equality, while others shared their own stories of discrimination, highlighting the need for greater awareness and change. For Maya, the encounter was both painful and empowering. It reminded her of the challenges she might face because of her race, but it also strengthened her resolve to challenge stereotypes and stand up for justice. With her father's unwavering support and the encouragement of those who rallied behind her online, Maya vowed to use her voice to inspire positive change. Though the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, she knew she wasn't alone, and that gave her hope. As Marcus Johnson stood beside his daughter in the middle of the bustling department store, the air was thick with tension. Patricia's hasty exit had left a void, but the weight of her actions still lingered. The crowd that had gathered slowly began to disperse, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others whispering quietly about what they had just witnessed. Maya, though visibly shaken, tried her best to compose herself. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the strap of her backpack. Her father's presence gave her strength, but the emotional toll of the confrontation was undeniable. Marcus, ever the composed and strategic thinker, turned his attention to the store employees who had been caught in the crossfire. He addressed them directly, his voice calm yet firm. "I appreciate your professionalism during this situation," he said, nodding toward the young man who had hesitated to act on Patricia's demands. "But I want to make one thing clear. No customer should ever be treated unfairly or made to feel unwelcome in any of my stores, or anyone else's for that matter." The employees nodded in agreement, their expressions a mix of relief and admiration for Marcus's handling of the situation. Maya watched her father with quiet pride. She had always admired how he carried himself, confident, dignified, and unafraid to stand up for what was right. But today, seeing him defend her so openly and passionately filled her with a sense of security she hadn't realized she needed. Marcus knelt down beside her once more, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, his dark eyes searching hers for any sign of distress. Maya nodded, though her voice wavered slightly when she spoke. "I'm fine, Dad, just surprised, I guess." The two decided to leave the store, stepping out into the bright afternoon sunlight. As they walked toward Marcus's car, Maya felt a wave of conflicting emotions. On one hand, she was relieved that the ordeal was over and grateful for her father's intervention. On the other hand, she couldn't shake the feeling of being judged solely based on her appearance. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened to her, but it still hurt every time. Marcus noticed the distant look in her eyes and squeezed her hand reassuringly. "You didn't deserve that," he said firmly, "and you never will." Back at home, Maya retreated to her room, needing some time to process everything that had happened. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the floor as her thoughts raced. Why did people feel the need to judge others so harshly? What gave someone like Patricia the audacity to assume things about her without knowing anything about her life? These questions swirled in her mind, leaving her frustrated and drained. At the same time, she couldn't help but think about how different things might have been if her father hadn't shown up. Would Patricia's accusations have escalated further? Would the store employees have eventually asked her to leave? Meanwhile, Marcus paced back and forth in his home office, his mind working overtime. He couldn't stop thinking about the incident and the broader implications it highlighted. Racism and prejudice weren't new issues, but moments like this served as painful reminders of how deeply ingrained they were in society. As a successful black man who had built his empire from scratch, Marcus knew all too well the challenges of navigating a world that often underestimated him. He had faced discrimination countless times throughout his career, whether it was being overlooked for promotions early on or having his authority questioned even after achieving success. But seeing his own daughter subjected to such treatment hit close to home in a way he hadn't anticipated. Determined to turn this negative experience into something positive, Marcus picked up his phone and began drafting an email to his executive team. In it, he outlined plans for a series of initiatives aimed at promoting diversity, inclusion, and equality within his company. These included mandatory training programs for employees to raise awareness about unconscious bias, partnerships with minority-owned businesses to expand opportunities, and scholarships for underprivileged students interested in pursuing careers in retail. Marcus believed that change started from within, and he was committed to leading by example. That evening, Marcus joined Maya in the living room, where she was curled up on the couch watching TV. He sat down beside her, placing a comforting arm around her shoulders. "I've been thinking," he began, his tone thoughtful, "about what happened today and how we can use it to make a difference." Maya looked at him curiously, prompting him to explain his ideas. As he spoke, her expression shifted from skepticism to excitement. For the first time since the incident, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe this painful experience could lead to something meaningful after all. Over the next few days, news of the confrontation spread like wildfire, Social media played a pivotal role in amplifying the story, with videos of Marcus confronting Patricia going viral across multiple platforms. Viewers praised Marcus for his poise and leadership, calling him a role model for standing up against discrimination. Comments poured in from people sharing their own experiences of prejudice, creating a ripple effect of awareness and solidarity. Many expressed gratitude for Maya's courage in remaining composed despite the hostility she faced, while others commended the bystanders who had supported her. For Maya, reading through the messages and reactions was both overwhelming and inspiring. She received direct messages from strangers thanking her for speaking out and reminding her that she wasn't alone in her struggles. Some even shared stories of similar encounters they had endured, offering words of encouragement and advice. Slowly but surely, Maya began to see the silver lining in what had initially seemed like a devastating experience. She realized that her story had resonated with others, sparking important conversations about race, privilege, and empathy. One message in particular stood out to Maya. It came from a girl named Tessa, who described herself as a fellow teenager who had also faced judgment because of her appearance. Tessa wrote about how isolating those moments could feel, and thanked Maya for giving her hope that change was possible. Inspired by Tessa's words, Maya decided to reach out and connect with others who had gone through similar situations. Together, they formed a small online community where members could share their stories, offer support, and celebrate their resilience. As the days turned into weeks, Marcus's initiatives gained traction within his company and beyond. Employees participated enthusiastically in the training sessions, gaining valuable insights into the impact of bias and the importance of inclusivity. Partnerships with minority-owned businesses flourished, creating new opportunities for collaboration and growth. The scholarship program attracted dozens of applicants, each eager to pursue their dreams in the retail industry. Marcus's efforts earned widespread recognition, with articles highlighting his commitment to fostering a more equitable workplace. For Maya, the experience became a turning point. Though it had been painful, it also strengthened her resolve to challenge stereotypes and advocate for justice. With her father's guidance and the support of her newfound community, she vowed to use her voice to inspire change. Whether it was through social media posts, school projects, or everyday interactions, Maya embraced her role as an advocate for equality. She knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but she was determined to keep moving forward. The bond between Maya and Marcus grew stronger as they worked together to create a brighter future. They spent hours discussing ideas, brainstorming solutions, and reflecting on their journey. Through it all, Marcus reminded Maya of one crucial truth. No matter what happens, always remember your worth. You are enough exactly as you are. Those words stayed with Maya, anchoring her during moments of doubt and fueling her determination to make a difference. Though the incident at the department store had left a lasting impact, it ultimately became a catalyst for growth and transformation. Not just for Maya and Marcus, but for everyone touched by their story. It served as a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, kindness, empathy, and unity could prevail. And for Maya, it reinforced the belief that she had the power to shape her narrative and inspire others to do the same. In the days following the incident at the department store, Maya found herself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. While she was grateful for her father's unwavering support and the outpouring of kindness from strangers online, she couldn't ignore the lingering sting of Patricia's words. The experience had left an indelible mark on her, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths about the world she lived in. Despite her efforts to stay strong, there were moments when doubt crept in, moments when she questioned whether she truly belonged in certain spaces. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maya sat alone in her room. She stared out the window, lost in thought. Her phone buzzed repeatedly on the desk beside her, notifications piling up from social media apps. People continued to share videos and posts about what had happened, praising her courage and her father's leadership. Yet instead of feeling proud, Maya felt a strange sense of vulnerability. She wondered if people saw her as a symbol of resilience, or simply as a victim caught in a viral moment. Either way, she wasn't sure how to process it all. Marcus, noticing his daughter's quiet demeanor, knocked gently on her bedroom door before stepping inside. He carried 2 steaming mugs of hot chocolate, offering one to Maya with a warm smile. "Thought you could use this," he said softly, sitting down beside her on the bed. Maya accepted the mug gratefully, wrapping her hands around its warmth. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. Finally, Marcus broke the quiet. "You've been really quiet lately," he observed, his tone gentle but probing. "What's going on in that head of yours?" Maya hesitated, unsure how to articulate the storm of thoughts swirling inside her. After a pause, she sighed and looked at him. I don't know, Dad. Everyone keeps saying how brave I was, but I didn't feel brave. I felt small. Like no matter what I do, some people will always see me differently because of how I look." Marcus listened intently, his expression softening, with empathy. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Maya, what happened to you wasn't fair, and it's okay to feel hurt by it. But don't let someone else's ignorance define who you are. You're so much more than their narrow-minded opinions." His words struck a chord deep within her, but they also brought tears to her eyes. She wiped them away quickly, not wanting to appear weak. The conversation shifted as Marcus shared stories from his own life, stories Maya had heard snippets of before but never in such detail. He talked about the early days of his career, when he faced skepticism and resistance at every turn. Banks refused to give him loans, colleagues dismissed his ideas, and even clients doubted his abilities simply because of the color of his skin. Yet through sheer determination and hard work, he had overcome those obstacles, building a successful business empire that commanded respect. "I won't lie to you, Maya," Marcus admitted, his voice tinged with both pride and pain. "There were times when I wanted to give up, times when I felt like the world was against me. But I realized something important. The only way to fight prejudice is to rise above it, to prove them wrong, not for their sake, but for mine. That's what I want you to remember. Don't let anyone dim your light." Maya nodded slowly, absorbing her father's words. She admired his strength and resilience, traits that had shaped not only his success, but also the way he raised her. Growing up, Marcus had instilled in her the importance of confidence, education, and perseverance. He had taught her to embrace her identity and to take pride in where she came from. Now, more than ever, she understood why those lessons mattered so much. As the days passed, Maya began to channel her emotions into action. Inspired by her father's initiatives, she decided to start a project of her own, a blog dedicated to sharing stories of young people overcoming discrimination. She called it Voices Unheard, a platform where individuals could speak openly about their experiences without fear of judgment. Maya spent hours designing the website, writing introductory posts, and reaching out to friends and acquaintances who might be interested in contributing. Her first post went live on a Friday afternoon. Titled, "Why Representation Matters," it detailed her encounter at the department store and reflected on the broader implications of racial bias. Within hours, the post garnered hundreds of views, along with comments from readers expressing gratitude and solidarity. Encouraged by the response, Maya reached out to Tessa, the girl who had messaged her earlier, and invited her to write a guest post. Tessa eagerly agreed, sharing her story of being racially profiled at a grocery store. Together, the two girls collaborated to grow the blog, inviting others to join the movement. Word of Voices Unheard spread quickly, thanks in part to Marcus's influence. When he learned about Maya's initiative, he immediately offered to help promote it through his company's social media channels. "This is exactly the kind of change we need," he told her proudly. "You're giving a voice to those who often go unheard. Keep going, Maya. The world needs to hear what you have to say." With her father's support, Maya gained confidence in her mission. She began attending virtual workshops and webinars focused on diversity and inclusion, eager to learn more about how she could make a difference. During one such event, she met Dr. Elena Carter, a renowned sociologist and advocate for racial equality. Impressed by Maya's passion and dedication, Dr. Carter offered to mentor her, providing guidance on expanding voices unheard and navigating the challenges of activism. Through these connections, Maya discovered a network of like-minded individuals committed to creating positive change. They exchanged ideas, shared resources, and supported one another in their respective endeavors. For the first time since the incident, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. She realized that while she couldn't control how others treated her, she could control how she responded, and she chose to respond with resilience and hope. Meanwhile, Marcus continued to push forward with his own initiatives. The training programs he had implemented within his company were showing promising results, with employees reporting increased awareness and sensitivity toward issues of bias. One employee, a young woman named Rachel, approached Marcus during a team meeting to express her gratitude. "Before this program, I didn't realize how my actions, or lack thereof, could contribute to someone feeling excluded," she confessed. "Now I'm more mindful, and I want to be part of the solution." Rachel's words resonated deeply with Marcus, reinforcing his belief in the power of education and empathy. He expanded the program to include interactive sessions where employees could share personal stories and engage in open dialogue. These conversations fostered a culture of understanding and accountability, transforming the workplace into a more inclusive environment. Outside of work, Marcus remained actively involved in advocacy efforts. He partnered with local organizations to host community events aimed at addressing systemic racism and promoting unity. At one such event, he delivered a powerful speech about the importance of standing up against injustice. "Change starts with us," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. "It starts with recognizing our biases, challenging stereotypes, and lifting each other up. Together we can build a future where everyone feels seen, valued, and respected." Back at home, Maya and Marcus often discussed their progress, celebrating small victories while acknowledging the work that still lay ahead. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, rooted in a shared commitment to making the world a better place. Though the journey was far from easy, they faced it together, drawing strength from one another. For Maya, the experience at the department store had become more than just a painful memory. It had become a catalyst for growth. It had taught her the value of resilience, the importance of using her voice, and the power of community. She knew there would be challenges ahead, moments when the weight of the world would feel overwhelming. But she also knew she wasn't alone. With her father by her side and a growing network of supporters behind her, she was ready to face whatever came next. And so, as the sun set on another day, Maya sat at her desk, typing away at her laptop. The glow of the screen illuminated her determined face, a testament to the fire burning within her. She was no longer just a teenager who loved fashion. She was a changemaker, a storyteller, and a beacon of hope for countless others. Whatever the future held, one thing was certain: Maya Johnson was ready to shine. Weeks turned into months, and Maya's life began to take on a new rhythm. The blog she had started, Voices Unheard, was growing faster than she had ever imagined. What began as a personal project to process her emotions and share her story had evolved into something much bigger, a platform that resonated with people from all walks of life. Each day brought new submissions, heartfelt messages, and stories of resilience that reminded Maya just how powerful collective voices could be. Every morning, Maya would wake up early, grab a cup of tea, and settle into her desk chair to review the latest posts and comments. Some stories were heartbreaking, accounts of discrimination at workplaces, schools, or even within families. Others were uplifting, celebrating moments of triumph over adversity. Reading them filled Maya with a mix of emotions: sadness for the struggles others endured, pride in their courage, and determination to keep amplifying their voices. She knew these stories mattered, not just for the individuals sharing them, but also for the broader conversation about equality and justice. One particular submission stood out to Maya. It came from a young man named Amir, who described his experience of being racially profiled by airport security during an international trip. His words painted a vivid picture of humiliation and frustration, yet they ended on a hopeful note. "I realize that my voice is my power," he wrote, "and I refuse to let anyone silence me." Inspired by Amir's courage, Maya reached out to him, asking if he'd be willing to collaborate on a video series where contributors could discuss their experiences face-to-face. To her delight, Amir agreed. As Maya worked on expanding Voices Unheard, Marcus continued to champion change within his company and beyond. The training programs he had introduced were now mandatory for all employees, from entry-level staff to senior executives. These sessions weren't just lectures. They included interactive activities designed to challenge participants' assumptions and foster empathy. One exercise involved pairing employees together to share personal stories of bias or exclusion. Many walked away from these discussions with a deeper understanding of their colleagues' lived experiences and a renewed commitment to creating a more inclusive workplace. Marcus also launched a mentorship program aimed at supporting minority employees within the company. He believed that representation mattered not only at the customer level, but also within the organization itself. By connecting aspiring professionals with experienced leaders, the program sought to break down barriers and create opportunities for growth. Among those selected for the inaugural cohort was Rachel, the same employee who had thanked Marcus for opening her eyes to unconscious bias. Under the guidance of her mentor, Rachel began exploring ways to integrate diversity initiatives into her department's operations. Despite the progress being made, challenges persisted. Not everyone welcomed Marcus's efforts with open arms. A few longtime executives grumbled about the extra work required by the training programs, while some shareholders questioned whether investing in diversity initiatives would yield tangible returns. Marcus listened patiently to their concerns but remained steadfast in his vision. "This isn't just about numbers or profits," he told them during a board meeting. "It's about doing what's right for our employees, our customers, and our communities. If we want to lead, we need to set an example." Maya admired her father's resolve but couldn't help feeling frustrated by the resistance he faced. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, she voiced her thoughts. "Why do people always push back against change? Don't they see how important this is?" Marcus chuckled softly, leaning back in his chair. "Change is hard, Maya. People are comfortable with the way things are, even when those things aren't. Fair. But remember, every step forward counts, no matter how small." Their conversations often circled back to the importance of patience and persistence. Marcus reminded Maya that meaningful change took time, especially when it came to dismantling deeply ingrained systems of inequality. "You're planting seeds, Maya," he said one night. "Some will grow quickly, while others might take years. But trust me, they'll grow." Encouraged by her father's wisdom, Maya threw herself into her work with renewed energy. She collaborated with Amir to produce the first episode of their video series titled Breaking Barriers. In it, Amir shared his airport experience alongside another contributor, a woman named Priya, who recounted being overlooked for promotions because of her ethnicity. The episode aired on Voices Unheard's social media channels and quickly gained traction, sparking conversations about systemic racism and privilege. The success of the video series inspired Maya to dream bigger. She envisioned hosting live events where contributors could connect in person, forming a supportive community united by shared experiences. With her father's encouragement, she drafted a proposal outlining her plans and presented it to Dr. Elena Carter, her mentor. Dr. Carter loved the idea and offered to help secure funding and resources to bring the vision to life. Preparations for the event kept Maya busy, but she found joy in every task, from designing flyers to coordinating logistics. Her excitement grew as RSVPs poured in from across the country. On the day of the event, held at a community center downtown, Maya arrived early to oversee final arrangements. As attendees began trickling in, she greeted each one warmly, introducing herself and thanking them for coming. Seeing so many faces, gathered together united by a common purpose, filled her with a sense of accomplishment she hadn't felt before. The highlight of the day came during the panel discussion, where Maya moderated a conversation featuring several contributors, including Amir and Priya. They spoke candidly about their journeys, offering advice and encouragement to others facing similar challenges. Toward the end of the session, Maya posed a question to the audience. What does empowerment mean to you? Hands shot up eagerly, and the responses were inspiring. For some, empowerment meant speaking up despite fear. For others, it meant standing in solidarity with marginalized communities. By the time the event concluded, Maya felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She had created a space where people felt heard, valued, and supported. Back home, Marcus watched a recording of the event, beaming with pride. "You've done something incredible, Maya," he said, pulling her into a tight hug. "This is just the beginning." Maya smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for her father's unwavering support, for the contributors who trusted her with their stories, and for the strangers who had rallied behind her cause. As the weeks passed, Voices Unheard continued to thrive. Schools began incorporating its content into classroom discussions, teachers praising its ability to spark meaningful dialogue among students. Local news outlets featured Maya's work, highlighting her as a rising advocate for equality. Yet, despite the recognition, Maya remained grounded. She understood that her role wasn't about fame or accolades. It was about making a difference, however small. One afternoon, as Maya scrolled through her inbox, she stumbled upon a message from Patricia, the woman who had confronted her at the department store. At first, Maya hesitated to open it, unsure of what to expect. But curiosity got the better of her, and she clicked on the email. Patricia's words were brief but sincere. "I owe you an apology. My behavior that day was wrong, and I regret the pain I caused you. Thank you for showing grace in the face of hostility." Maya read the message twice, her heart softening slightly. While forgiveness didn't come easily, she recognized the value of extending compassion, even to those who had hurt her. "After some thought," she replied, thanking Patricia for reaching out and encouraging her to continue learning and growing. It was a small gesture, but one that carried immense weight. Reflecting on everything that had transpired, Maya realized how far she had come since that fateful day at the department store. What had once felt like a moment of defeat had transformed into a journey of self-discovery and advocacy. Through her blog, her community, and her partnership with her father, she had discovered her voice and learned to use it boldly. Though the road ahead would undoubtedly present new challenges, Maya approached the future with hope and determination. She knew the fight for equality wouldn't end anytime soon, but she also knew she wasn't alone. With her father by her side, a growing network of supporters cheering her on, and a world full of untold stories waiting to be shared, Maya was ready to keep pushing forward. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city skyline, Maya closed her laptop and stepped onto the balcony. Taking a deep breath, she gazed out at the bustling streets below, filled with people from all walks of life. Somewhere amidst the chaos, there were voices waiting to be heard, and Maya was determined to ensure they never went unheard again. As the months rolled on, Maya's life became a whirlwind of activity. Between managing Voices Unheard, attending school, and collaborating with her father on various initiatives, she rarely found time to slow down. Yet, despite the busyness, she felt more alive than ever. Each day brought new opportunities to make an impact, whether it was through sharing someone's story, organizing community events, or simply engaging in meaningful conversations about equality and justice. One morning, as Maya sat at her desk sipping coffee, she received an email that would change everything. It was from a prominent national magazine asking if they could feature her work in an upcoming issue focused on young changemakers. The editor praised Voices Unheard for its authenticity and impact, calling it a beacon of hope in a divided world. Maya read the message 3 times before letting out an excited squeal. This was the kind of recognition she had never, dreamed of, a chance to reach an even wider audience and amplify the voices she cared so deeply about. Overwhelmed but thrilled, Maya immediately called her father to share the news. Marcus listened intently, his face lighting up with pride. "This is huge, Maya," he said, his voice brimming with excitement. "You're inspiring people across the country, and soon, maybe even around the world." Together, they brainstormed ways to leverage the exposure, agreeing that the magazine feature should include not only Maya's personal story, but also testimonials from contributors who had benefited from Voices Unheard. After all, this wasn't just her journey. It belonged to everyone who had dared to speak up. The weeks leading up to the magazine's release were a flurry of interviews, photo shoots, and preparations. Maya worked closely with the editorial team to ensure the article captured the essence of Voices Unheard, resilience, unity, and the power of storytelling. She spent hours revisiting old posts, selecting impactful quotes, and reaching out to contributors for permission to include their stories. Though the process was exhausting, Maya found joy in every step, knowing how much it meant to those involved. When the magazine finally hit stands, Maya couldn't believe the response. Copies flew off shelves and social media buzzed with praise for the young activist who had turned a painful experience into a movement. Readers flooded her inbox with messages of gratitude, sharing how her story had inspired them to confront their own biases or take action in their communities. Teachers wrote to say they were using the article in classrooms to spark discussions about race and privilege. Even celebrities weighed in, retweeting excerpts and encouraging their followers to support Voices Unheard. Amidst the accolades, Maya remained humble. She knew the real heroes were the individuals brave enough to share their experiences, the ones whose stories had opened hearts and minds. To celebrate the milestone, she organized a virtual event titled Celebrating Courage, inviting contributors to join her in a live discussion about the importance of vulnerability and advocacy. Thousands tuned in, leaving comments and questions that reflected a growing desire for understanding and connection. While Maya basked in the success of Voices Unheard, Marcus continued to push boundaries within his company. His diversity initiatives had gained traction, earning praise from industry leaders and employees alike. But Marcus wasn't content to stop there. He envisioned creating a foundation dedicated to supporting underrepresented entrepreneurs, providing them with resources, mentorship, and funding to launch their own businesses. He named it the Equity Rising Foundation and announced its launch during a high-profile conference. Standing on stage in front of hundreds of attendees, Marcus delivered a stirring speech about the importance of economic empowerment. "True, equality isn't just about representation. It's about access," he declared, his voice resonating through the auditorium. "We need to break down the barriers that prevent talented individuals from succeeding. That's why I'm committing $10 million to fund startups led by women and minorities. Because when we lift each other up, we all rise." The announcement drew thunderous applause, cementing Marcus's reputation as a trailblazer in corporate social responsibility. Applications for the foundation poured in from aspiring entrepreneurs, eager to turn their dreams into reality. Among the first recipients was Rachel, the employee who had initially doubted the value of diversity training. With the foundation's support, she launched a sustainable fashion line aimed at promoting eco-friendly practices while celebrating diverse cultures. Her success story became a testament to the transformative power of opportunity. Back at home, Maya and Marcus often reflected on their parallel journeys. Both had faced adversity. Maya through discrimination and Marcus through systemic bias, but both had chosen to respond with action rather than despair. Their shared mission brought them closer than ever, strengthening the bond between father and daughter. They celebrated victories together, supported each other through setbacks, and reminded one another of the bigger picture whenever doubt crept in. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Maya posed a question that had been lingering in her mind. "Do you ever feel like we're fighting a losing battle?" she asked softly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "Not for a second," he replied. "Sure, There are days when it feels like we're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But every victory, no matter how small, brings us closer to the world we're trying to build. And besides, he added with a smile, we've got each other. That makes all the difference. Inspired by her father's optimism, Maya decided to expand Voices Unheard further. She partnered with Dr. Elena Carter to develop educational materials for schools, teaching students about the history of racial inequality and the importance of allyship. These resources included lesson plans, videos, and interactive activities designed to foster empathy and critical thinking. Within months, dozens of schools adopted the curriculum, integrating it into their social studies programs. Meanwhile, Maya continued to grow her online presence, hosting weekly Q&A sessions where followers could ask questions about activism, leadership, and overcoming challenges. One session in particular stood out. A teenage girl named Jasmine asked, "How do I deal with people who don't believe racism exists anymore?" Maya paused, considering her response carefully. "Start by listening," she advised. "Sometimes ignorance stems from a lack of exposure. Share your experiences, recommend books or documentaries, and encourage open dialogue. Change doesn't happen overnight, but planting seeds of awareness is a step in the right direction." Her answer resonated deeply with viewers, sparking a wave of engagement and discussion. More importantly, it reinforced Maya's belief in the power of education and conversation. By equipping others with tools to challenge prejudice, she was helping create a ripple effect of positive change. As summer approached, Maya embarked on a new project, a documentary series chronicling the lives of marginalized youth across the country. Partnering with filmmakers and activists, she traveled to different cities, meeting individuals whose stories embodied resilience and hope. From a Native American teenager fighting to preserve her tribe's traditions to a transgender boy advocating for LGBTQ+ rights in his rural town, each episode highlighted the beauty and strength of communities often overlooked by mainstream narratives. The documentary premiered at a film festival, drawing widespread acclaim from critics and audiences alike. Viewers praised its raw honesty and emotional depth, hailing it as a powerful call to action. For Maya, the project was more than just a creative endeavor. It was a reminder of why she had started Voices Unheard in the first place. Every story mattered, and every voice deserved to be heard. Despite her growing influence, Maya remained grounded, leaning on her family and friends for support. Her mother, Sarah, played a crucial role in keeping her balanced, offering words of encouragement and reminding her to take breaks when needed. "You're doing incredible work, sweetheart," Sarah often said. "But don't forget to take care of yourself too. You can't pour from an empty cup." Sarah's advice proved invaluable as Maya navigated the pressures of activism. There were moments when the weight of responsibility felt overwhelming, when the sheer scale of injustice seemed insurmountable. In those times, Maya turned to her loved ones for comfort, finding solace in their unwavering belief in her mission. By the end of the year, Voices Unheard had become a household name, synonymous with courage and resilience. Maya's efforts earned her numerous awards and honors, including a prestigious humanitarian prize presented by a global organization. Accepting the award, she dedicated it to everyone who had trusted her with their stories. "This isn't my victory, it's ours," she said, her voice steady and sincere. "Together we're proving that no voice is too small to make a difference." Though the journey was far from over, Maya looked ahead with optimism. She knew there would be more challenges, more battles to fight. But she also knew she wasn't alone. With her father's guidance, her community's support, and her unshakable determination, she was ready to face whatever came next. And so, as another chapter closed, Maya stood poised to write the next one, a story of hope, perseverance, and the enduring power of unity. The final chapter of Maya's journey began with a sense of fulfillment, but also a deep awareness that her work was far from finished. The recognition she had received and the impact of Voices Unheard were undeniable, yet Maya understood that true change required constant effort. It wasn't just about celebrating victories, it was about staying committed to the cause, even when the road ahead seemed uncertain. One crisp autumn morning, Maya woke up earlier than usual, unable to shake the excitement bubbling inside her. Today marked the launch of the second season of her documentary series, which had been rebranded as Unsung Heroes. This time the focus was broader, highlighting stories of marginalized individuals not only in America but around the world. From a young girl in Kenya fighting for girls' education to an elderly man in Brazil advocating for environmental conservation, each episode showcased resilience in the face of adversity. Maya had spent months traveling, filming, and editing, pouring her heart into every detail. Now, as the first episode aired online, she felt a mix of nerves and pride. The response was overwhelming. Social media platforms lit up with praise, viewers sharing how the stories had moved them to tears and inspired action. Schools incorporated the series into their curriculums, using it as a tool to teach students about global issues and empathy. NGOs reached out to collaborate, hoping to amplify the voices of those featured in the documentaries. For Maya, this level of impact reinforced her belief in the power of storytelling. "When we listen to each other," she often said during interviews, "we begin to see the humanity in everyone." Meanwhile, Marcus continued to expand his foundation's reach, introducing programs aimed at fostering intergenerational dialogue. He believed that bridging gaps between older and younger generations was key to creating lasting change. Through workshops and mentorship initiatives, he brought together retirees and teenagers, encouraging them to share experiences and learn from one another. One such program paired Rachel, now a successful entrepreneur, with a group of high school students interested in fashion design. Together, they created a capsule collection celebrating cultural diversity, which debuted at a major fashion event. The collaboration demonstrated the transformative potential of unity and creativity. As father and daughter pursued their respective missions, they found themselves increasingly intertwined in each other's work. Maya invited Marcus to speak at a panel discussion hosted by Voices Unheard, where he shared insights on leadership and the importance of economic empowerment. In return, Marcus included Voices Unheard resources in the Foundation's educational toolkit, ensuring that its message reached aspiring entrepreneurs. Their partnership became a powerful example of how individual efforts could converge to create something greater. Despite their successes, both Maya and Marcus faced moments of doubt. Critics occasionally accused them of being too idealistic, questioning whether their initiatives would truly dismantle systemic barriers. Some argued that focusing on representation and inclusion was merely scratching the surface of deeper societal problems. These criticisms weighed heavily on Maya, who sometimes wondered if she was doing enough. On particularly tough days, she turned to her father for guidance. "Change is messy," Marcus reminded her one evening as they sat together in the living room. "It's easy to get discouraged when progress feels slow. But remember, every step forward matters, even the small ones." His words echoed in Maya's mind, grounding her whenever she doubted her path. She realized that while perfection might be unattainable, persistence was what truly counted. To keep herself motivated, Maya leaned on her growing network of supporters. Contributors to Voices Unheard formed a tight-knit community, regularly checking in with one another and offering encouragement. Tessa, the girl who had initially reached out to Maya after the department store incident, became a close friend and confidant. They often collaborated on projects, combining their talents to tackle new challenges. Amir, whose airport experience had resonated with so many, joined forces with Maya to host webinars on overcoming bias in public spaces. Together, they proved that collective action could drive meaningful results. As the year drew to a close, Maya decided to organize a large-scale event titled Unity in Action. Held at a convention center downtown, the gathering brought together activists, educators, artists, and everyday citizens passionate about creating a more equitable society. Panels, workshops, and performances filled the schedule, offering attendees diverse perspectives on advocacy and allyship. Maya delivered the closing keynote, reflecting on her journey and urging others to find their own ways to contribute. "When I started Voices Unheard, I never imagined it would grow into what it is today," she told the audience, her voice steady and heartfelt. But looking back, I realized that none of this would have been possible without the courage of those who trusted me with their stories. You are the real change makers, the ones proving that no voice is too small to make a difference. So I ask you, what will your story be? How will you use your voice to shape the future? Her speech earned a standing ovation, leaving many in tears. Attenders left the event energized, armed with practical tools and renewed determination to fight for justice. For Maya, the moment served as a reminder of why she had embarked on this journey, to inspire others to take action. In the months that followed, Voices Unheard expanded globally, partnering with organizations in Europe, Africa, and Asia to amplify underrepresented voices worldwide. Maya traveled extensively, speaking at conferences and meeting individuals whose stories fueled her passion. Back home, Marcus's foundation celebrated its 5th anniversary, having supported over 200 startups led by women and minorities. Together, father and daughter had become symbols of hope, proving that perseverance and compassion could spark monumental change. Yet, amidst all the achievements, Maya remained grounded. She cherished quiet moments with her family, savoring simple joys like cooking dinner with her mom or playing board games with her dad. These moments reminded her of what truly mattered: love, connection, and the strength found in community. Her parents often marveled at how much she had grown, not just as an activist, but as a person. "You've always had a fire within you," Sarah once told her. "Now you're lighting fires in others." Looking back on everything she had accomplished, Maya felt immense gratitude, not just for the opportunities she'd been given, but for the lessons she'd learned along the way. She had discovered the power of vulnerability, the importance of listening, and the beauty of standing alongside others in pursuit of a better world. Most importantly, she had embraced her identity, refusing to let anyone dim her light. On a chilly, winter evening, as snowflakes danced outside her window, Maya sat at her desk writing a new post for Voices Unheard. Titled "A Letter to My Future Self," it reflected on her journey and offered advice to whoever she might become years down the line. "Never forget why you started," she wrote. "Remember the pain that ignited your fire and the joy that keeps it burning. Keep fighting, keep loving, and above all, keep believing in the power of unity." Signing off, Maya smiled, knowing that her story was far from over. There would be more challenges to face, more battles to fight, and more voices to uplift. But she was ready. With her father's unwavering support, her community's solidarity, and her unyielding determination, she stood poised to continue shaping a brighter, more inclusive future. And so, as the clock struck midnight, signaling the start of a new year, Maya closed her laptop and stepped onto the balcony. Gazing out at the city lights twinkling below, she whispered softly to herself, "This is just the beginning."